Love playing games like Minecraft and Roblox? Ever wonder how they're made? At CodeWiz, we teach you how to create your favorite games. Try out a class before you sign up. Let's learn to code and have fun.
My name is Ruth Agbaji. My company is Code Wiz. Code Wiz is an after-school program for kids ages 7 through 17. We teach kids to express themselves creatively through coding and robotics.
Hello, Ruth. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. So, Ruth, you are one of the amazing women that I found. I just found. I literally since I started this podcast in April when the pandemic started. I used to work in the media, and it drove me crazy that they just kept on talking about the bad news about small businesses and entrepreneurs. And
Right.
I worked in the media. I can do this. I'm just going to call everyone that I know around the world and say, who wants to talk about their businesses? And everyone's like, me. So it's usually my friends or colleagues or just like entrepreneurs that I work with and small businesses I've run into when I went to other countries. But you, my friend, I saw it you popped up on my LinkedIn. I don't know how or why you popped up. And then I started looking at, I started researching everything about you. I'm like, oh no, I need to talk to her. So, hi, Ruth.
Hi.
Friendly stalker. I would like everyone to know who you are before we talk about your company. Like, who are you? Where did you come from? And where are you located?
So obviously I'm Ruth Agbaji. I am originally from Nigeria. I like to point out that I'm an immigrant. I came to this country 10 years ago. I came for my master's in computer science. So currently I live in Boxborough, Massachusetts. My business is located in Westford. The headquarters is located in Westford. And then we have locations around Massachusetts, Reading, Arlington, and Westborough, Massachusetts.
So wait, that's the company. Who are you? Let's just start at the beginning.
That's actually a really good clarification, because my husband is always saying, you realize you are not your company, right? You are you. Oh man. Okay. So I can talk about, a little bit about, my family too. So I'm married, happily married.
Oh, you know what? You are just making it way too easy. Start at the beginning. Hi. 10 years ago, I just came to this country. Let's start at the beginning. Who are you?
All right. Well, I was born in the 80s. All right. I'll start all the way from the top. So I grew up in Nigeria, and I grew up in a middle-class family. And middle-class family in Nigeria here is, it's a completely different story, but we grew up, and it really was a typical African family. Some days you have stuff to eat, some days you don't really have that much. We would have to walk miles to get water because we didn't have running water. We didn't have constant electricity and so on. But I think that I've always just been a person that feels like I can be better than my circumstance, and I can do more than what the environment has currently placed on me. And so growing up, that I've always tried to, dabble into business and try little things here and there. When I was in college, I decided that I wanted to leave the country, because at that time where I grew up, I don't know if you've heard of Boko Haram, that group that kidnaps girls and just so much unrest. I grew up right smack in the middle of that. And I was just like, this is not life, where you can't go out on Fridays because Lord knows what could happen on Fridays. You have to be very careful what you say, otherwise you could start a religious riot. It was just too much. And so I started to think, what can I do? What can I do to change my life and change my situation? And then it was at that time I started to teach myself how to code, which was a very, very interesting journey. The resources were just not there. I did have a laptop, courtesy my mom, and there were like a few, then lessons were on CDs and DVDs, and so you would try and follow along. And then I would get stuck, and then there was nobody to help. There were some guys that were into it, but it was like a guy thing. Girls don't code. It's just like weird. So it was just me, and I was trying to figure things out. And then there was this guy in India who had written a blog about the exact problem that I was facing. So for all the bloggers, keep blogging, it really helps. And I reached out to him. I didn't know who he was. I was like, can you please help me? You know, I'm so stuck and I really love this. I want to do this. And he became my mentor. And he would mentor me from India. He would look at my code and say, oh, this is where you missed it. He would brainstorm with me and so on. And that's how I really fell in love with coding. And I did this project for my department and it was so good. And that it was at that point, I was like, oh my God, I do have an inner genius. And I know I'm tying it into the company again, but this is why I'm always saying, you know, kids need to unlock their inner geniuses, because sometimes it just takes one person to say, I believe in you. I can see all that you have in you and I can help you to be all that you can be. And he was really that person for me. And so after that, I got a scholarship to Tufts University. And then that's how I immigrated to the US 10 years ago. Finally arrived. And yeah, so after my master's, I worked as a software engineer in Microsoft. Before that, I had a job I didn't really like, but then I moved on to Microsoft. Microsoft was great, but I've always been a big picture person, very visionary. And because I was sort of younger, you know, down the ladder, I didn't get the chance to have that big picture at Microsoft. You know, it's more like, well, here's what your manager wants you to do and you got to do it. And so I was really itching for that. And then I had gotten married, started to grow a family. So I had 2 young kids. We moved to the suburbs. And then I had to take the train, and anyone that knows me knows that timing is not. My sister is always like, you know, if you just started getting ready 10 minutes before, you would be all right. But I'm always like, yeah, but just one more email. I just need to.
Well, it's so funny. My sister sets, she sets clocks early. Like, so at any given time, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes in advance. And so you're looking at the clock and you're like, you know, it's like,
my sisters did that for me, right? They set the clock early. And then I found out, and then they'll be like, look, it's 9:45, you gotta go. I'm like, yeah, well, you set the clock back, right? So technically, I really have more time.
It's the games that we play, it's the games.
So anyways, with all of that, it was just too much. I really needed the flexibility. I really needed, because my kids were young. I don't know if you have kids, but they were like germ factories. They're always falling sick. And then I take the train an hour and a half to walk. And then the daycare calls and say, can you please come right back? Your child has developed a fever. Oh, and so you just turn right back around. Oh, it was too much. And so it was at that point, I was like, okay, I really need to take charge of my life. I really need to do my own thing.
Okay, wait, pause. Before we go to your own thing, we're gonna like break up a lot of stuff. Back to Nigeria. So when you decide to start coding, I mean, like everyone knows the story of the girls being kidnapped. I mean, one, you're growing up in that environment. How are you even thinking about discovering something bigger and thinking bigger? I mean, most of the girls were just, you know what, I'm just gonna stay at home. I'm gonna tend to the family. I'm gonna stay very close to like doing small, stay small, focus small. Maybe they'll never notice me. I'll be safe. You were thinking so big, and you were thinking about things that were so big that would garner attention towards you.
Right.
How were you in that situation at that time where everyone around the world we were all talking about it? I'm first generation in Haiti. We were all talking about it. And so how are you able to see that situation, know that, oh my God, I'm not going out on a Friday, things like that, but I'm deciding to go into coding where you said it's a man's sport.
Yeah.
In Nigeria, and you're getting mentors, you're getting better. You're probably going to have competition in your own country. Yeah. How are you able to shine and still not be afraid of what's happening in your area?
So just to go back a little bit, I was that person that my goal was initially growing up was, well, my parents are professors in the university. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to be a professor like my parents. I can't wait to be Mrs. Somebody. And that was my whole, like, this is who I want to be. This is who I will be. And this is the importance of exposure. I got exposed to, I went to visit my uncle in so Lagos, Nigeria. People know Lagos. My uncle lives in Lagos and he owns his own business. And I think it was going there and seeing him and seeing how he lived his life and seeing that it was completely different from the bubble that I was in. I was like, oh my gosh, there was so much more out there, for me. I do not have to limit myself to being what my parents are. I do not have to limit myself to being, not that being a mom is bad or anything, but you can be more than that. You should not, for me, I felt like I should not, my identity should not be in just being a wife and being a mom. It was like mind blowing for me. So I think honestly, it was the exposure. Like I left my bubble and I moved that and I was like, whoa, there's a whole big wide world out there and it's mine for the taking. So I just went for it.
Did you have any, do you have anyone that was like you had your mentor that was in India, but did you have any mentors other than your parents? I mean, your parents are mentors in itself.
Right.
And the education aspect where the curiosity you had came through them because they're educators. And so when you're an educator, you're already curious about learning.
Yeah.
So did you have any other peers that were into coding as well? Or were you that lonely person on your own ship?
There was, so like I said, there were some guys, there were some boys that were into it, but it really wasn't something it wasn't a circle that I was welcome into. So I really was that lonely person crying in front of my computer because my code wasn't working and there was no one to talk to. I did have, and my parents, I have to give my parents so much credit. They really believed in me and they jumped through hoops to try and help me out. They would go ask their peers, do you know anyone that can teach her, that can help her? And there was one person that they found who they paid for lessons, but he was useless. So in the end, I was just like, okay, I really just have to figure this out on my own. So yeah, I do give them credit. And I have to say that at that time, we were born in a time where girls are not as valuable as boys. And my parents have 4 girls. So
well, there you go.
And my dad was always, and so what typically happened is when you have 4 girls, people would be, you should get a boy, you really should get a boy. And then some people would go to the extreme to say, well, if I can't have a boy with my current spouse, I'm going to go out of my marriage and, get a child somewhere else just because we're looking for that boy. Yeah. But my dad was always like, you don't have to be a boy to be successful. You can be anything that you want to be. And I will support you. I will go behind you. Since I was 5, my dad called me professor of robotics, which is crazy. And then here we are today.
I feel like that's like dads that I shouldn't say just dad. So my dad, my mom, my Uncle Jack, we don't care what you are. We don't care if you are a trash collector. We don't care if you are a bookkeeper. We don't care if you are a doctor. Be the best damn one.
Exactly.
So when you have that, and I tell people all the time, they're like, I go, you know what? When you're told that you can, you can. Like, yeah. We were never told that we couldn't. So we're like, whoa, you're everywhere. Well, because I was never told I couldn't. So now you're in the States. You realize like you have your family, but you want more. I mean, obviously you want so much more. I've always said the same thing, that if I was going to be pregnant, I was going to be the best damn barefoot and pregnant person out there because I was going to rock it, because being a mom is phenomenal, but it's not my being. And I think a lot of people have the identity crisis because they're like, where am I? Who am I? I've lost who I am. And I'm like, no, you don't have to. So when did you decide to start the company?
So 2017, so after I left Microsoft, I tried another company. I was like, okay, maybe if it's closer to home, then it would be less of a struggle. I was still running late to work so bad.
All right, so key thing, you are on time for this call, so I'm gonna give you a thumbs up.
I sat here waiting. I'm like, you must not be late for this. So anyway, so I went there and It's like 15 minutes from the house, but I started to find that the desire to be part of the bigger picture was still there, and still needed the flexibility. My little boy was born, and from the beginning we kind of knew that he was special. So he ended up being diagnosed with autism. And so for those that have had to deal with that, it's like therapies. It's like 5 different therapies, and they don't happen back to back. It's you're running to Stoneham for this one, and then you're going to run to Worcester for the other one, and then you come back to Acton for this, and it's just like back and forth and all of that. So it wasn't, a lot of the therapies actually started after I started CodeWiz, but he'd been in and out of the doctor's offices. And so I was burning through sick time, and there's only so much you can tell your manager. And so I said, you know what, I just need to stop. And my husband was like, oh, why don't we start, you've always liked business, why don't you look into a business? Why don't you, maybe 7-Eleven? I'm like, I just don't know. Not that it's a bad business, but it just wasn't for me. So I started looking.
Wait, just so you know, after we're done with this, you're being added to the BFF list. Just so okay, I'm sorry. I know we have a certain time. I'm like, I go, you're so good. You're so fun.
So
go ahead.
I'll talk really fast. So I was like, I really, teaching myself to code was something that was really impactful and freeing for me. And it's not something that I wanted to give up. And just having come from that place where somebody had helped me and kind of like held his hand out and pulled me up, I really wanted to be in that space where I could do that for other people. And so I was like, well, I could tie coding and, kids, because working with kids is very impactful. And as you can probably tell, I'm just like a big kid on the inside. I'm like this.
No. What? No.
So like, okay, I can do a business where I can be myself, and so I was like, all right, coding and kids. And I started looking into franchises at that time that were available, but none of them really had what I wanted. I really wanted it to be a more open thing where children choose passions that they want to pursue versus me telling them what they needed to learn. And so I was talking to somebody at the SBDC, and I was expressing this to her, and she's like, why don't you just start your own? And again, the whole can do thing, right? I've been told all my life I can do this. I'm like, yeah, why don't I start my own? So I started my own, and it was much harder than I thought, I tell you that. But yeah, that's how CodeWiz was born. And so in 2017, I decided to do it on my own, April 2017. And by October, we were open, which is kind of crazy.
That's, and that's sometimes you just have to like the fire hydrant. Boom.
Yeah, exactly. Just get it done, and then you figure out the rest later.
What was the most frustrating thing, and what was the most amazing thing? Like a whole aha moment once the doors started opening and people started coming to you?
I think the absolute best moment was when the moms in the community would come in and they would bring their sons and say, here, I want you to take this class, or at least try a free class. And I want you to see, when we started, we were an all ladies team. So it was all the ladies teaching the kids to code. And I want you to see that women can code. And so when you grow up, you never ever look down on a woman because you've seen that this can happen. I think that I never forgot that statement. And that was one of the yes, because I want to be inspiring. This is why I did this. I want to inspire. Now I'm inspiring parents and kids, and not even the way that I thought, because now she's telling him, you got to respect women. You got to see that women can do anything that they want to be. And then just seeing kids, kids would come in and parents would be crying because now the kids have found their tribe. They weren't good at sports. They weren't good at anything else. And, they're crying, and I start crying, and we're all crying. I think those were the best. Those were the absolute best moments. And I think the most frustrating one, unfortunately, came from a bunch of dudes. Somebody came in once and he's like, oh, my girlfriend really loves this stuff. She's in the coding school and whatnot. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so great. We love to hire ladies and so on. And then I don't know what I said that put him off. And he's like, can I please just talk to your manager? I don't want to talk to you anymore. And I'm like, you did not just say that. So there was another lady there in the reception area. And she's like, and as soon as she said, he was like, oh my God, you're the owner. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm like, oh, it's okay. Just close the door on your way out. Thank you. So, things like that. And then there was another one, and he was a person of color, and he had good intentions. He's like, oh my gosh, this is so great. You just get a white man to be the face of your business. It'd be amazing.
That's not okay.
I know. I tried to tell myself, yes, he had good intentions, and try to make myself feel better about it.
All right, we'll just say that both of them had good intentions.
Yeah, let's put it there. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Okay. What has the pandemic done for you? I mean, so like we're in a global pandemic. You have family in Nigeria. You're watching it from over here. You're here in the States. You have a business. You have a family. So much is going on. What has the pandemic done for you, for your business, and for you personally?
So to add to that list, my husband is a physician. And
okay.
So he's like, oh yeah, 10 COVID patients today. I'm like, good Lord.
And you just came in the house. Oh my God, I'm trying really not. Like, in true reality, you try really hard not to freak out. But I mean, I have a lot of family members that are in. I have a lot of family members that are in the medical field. Same exact word they call, and I'm like, are you okay? Yeah, you don't want to freak out because they keep saying like we wear tons of stuff. I go,
yeah.
I know, and I worked in the media, and I know it's a story in the news. I get it, but I'm not worried about you.
Exactly, and so that's another point of tension where I still have the Lysol wipes, and he shows up. I'm like wiping his phone.
Wait, I'm sorry, you found Lysol wipes? Oh, I'm so going to your house. What?
I'm good. I'm late, but I'm good. I know where to go.
So what was your February, and now March you're starting hearing rumblings from everyone, and then we're like months later. How was it for you?
So it was hard. It was really, really hard. February, we signed on 2 new franchisees and we started to train them. March 8th, we had this huge big training. And by March 13th, it was like everybody shut down, can't have people gather together indoors anymore. And it was like, oh my gosh, what do we do? Like nobody prepared for this. And I distinctly remember, I have to give her a shout out to my center director. Her name's Nadia. And we were all like in a panic. And Nadia's like, Ruth, she looked me dead in the eye. Ruth, this is what you do. You pull stuff out of your behind all the time and it works. If we ever need you to do that, we need it right now. And I think that was like the jolt for me. I was like, okay. And, so we pivoted, we put everything online. Within like 3 days, we were online and we told parents, okay, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to make it work. But I got to tell you that March and April were the hardest months of my life. Even just mentally, it was hard. Like I had 2 kids at home, trying to keep this business running, worried about my husband for his safety, worried that he was bringing it home. My parents in Nigeria, it's not, the medical system is not as robust as this is. And, I have family in Michigan, Canada. It was just super stressful. But I have to say that COVID honestly has been a blessing for the business, because we would never have explored the online aspect of that business if COVID hadn't happened. And because we pivoted, everybody doesn't want to hear the word pivot anymore, because we changed to an online model. We're serving kids in Canada, in Mexico, Switzerland. We have staff from all over the country. So it's really opened up like this whole new world for us. And because we became online, we are able to partner with a bigger franchise system that they offer tutoring. So now we are offering coding classes to their families. And so it really just opened up a whole new world for us. And I think personally, for me, I started to rethink my identity as a person. Because I'm going to do a video for Mental Health Day. I got to a point where I felt like if this business failed, I had failed, and I really had no reason to live anymore. And I remember the person I talked to, she said, you got to remember your kids, you got to remember your husband, and you got to remember that they need you more than CodeWiz does. And so that was also a turning point for me, where it's like, I have this whole big, ginormous identity, and CodeWiz is just a little part of it. And if God forbid it doesn't work out, we're going to be okay. Everyone is going to be okay, because I did it one time, I can do it again. And that was really freeing. And I think when I let that go, things just started to happen for us that were just so, so good. So I'm grateful for where we're at.
Well, I love it because you just hit the what did it do for you personally? You talked about what you added to the company. So it's good because you answered a lot of my questions before I even said it, which is
great.
I tell everyone, your company is this much. And look, when you're laying in your deathbed, you're not going to talk about how many hours I worked. I go, and it is this much. And so I always say to everyone, think about your LinkedIn before your website. And everyone's, well, what does that mean? I'm like, I need to know that you're an expert, and that expertise never goes away. It's part of you till the day that you die. And if you do it well, so far past you after you die, because people will talk about how you change their lives. All these kids all over the place you're changing their lives. Right. All the pictures that you create this company, you're changing their lives. You create this as an opportunity, which is absolutely amazing. So that we're limited in time. I'm trying to get so much out, but there's I want to talk to you for, oh my God, I wish you were just boring. Damn it, you. There's so much to talk about. But I want to ask two more things. Okay. So number one, in regards to where do you see your company going when we go back to somewhat normal?
So we will definitely continue with our online classes. I think we're going to eventually settle on being offering classes in a hybrid approach. So we'll have some in-person classes and some online classes. We don't really know exactly how that would work, at Interplay, but that's where we're going to be. And then we're going to continue to grow the brand. My big vision is that, we'll be Mathnasium or Kumon, and everybody would kind of know who we are, and really just, again, impact kids in just tremendous ways. That's where we're going eventually, post-COVID.
And my last question, if you had a personal ask and a professional ask of anyone that's listening to you right now, and for everyone, usually I go I want so much more, Ruth. I'm going to come back to you, but I go, literally, I'm going to come back to you. I say to everyone, I would say at the end of the year, but in January, I'm coming back to everyone that I've spoken to, just so I can see what happened. Because you survived this long, but I want to see how 2021 starts off. But if you had a personal and a professional ask of anybody, what would be your personal ask and what would be your professional ask?
My professional ask would be share our website. We want more kids. I want my franchisees to be successful. So if you know somebody who might be interested in a coding class, if you know a family, we offer trial classes for everyone. Please share that. That would be my professional ask. And my personal ask is for everyone to take time to connect with themselves. I think is hugely important, especially because I know we're recording this on a Friday and tomorrow is Mental Health Day. Take time for your mental health. Just take time to be with yourself, by yourself, or with your family. Just take time for you. It's hugely important. That would be my personal ask.
Oh my God, that is amazing. So I am LinkedIn. Sometimes I'm I go, LinkedIn is my living Rolodex. But when amazing people like you just pop up out of nowhere for no reason, literally, you're my third. You're my third connection.
Right.
Third connection, and I'm how do I find her? I can't email her through LinkedIn because it's locked down. And found you. So happy that you're here. But the best part is I'm all about islanders, Africa continent, love. I was in Morocco, and I know it doesn't count. I was because people were it doesn't count. I was in Morocco in January. I was supposed to be in Ghana in April, and the pandemic happened. I have family members that are in Togo.
Nice.
I was just there. I was supposed to be there, and I wasn't. So
Wow.
I do love that you exist in our world. I'm so happy you now exist in my world. You are amazing. And your eyes talk before your mouth does.
I
I'm sure you've heard that before.
can't hide my true feelings, honestly. My eyes betray me all the time. It's terrible.
Like for me, it's like it's literally my frown. And like I do things. I go, oh, what just happened there? And they're like, Jodi, your silence is worse than you opening your mouth. I'm like, oh, really? Oh, that's not good. So
That is okay.
thank you so very much for saying yes to me. Thank you for giving us a little taste in Haitian Creole, French, a little goûter, a little taste
Okay.
of what you are and what you do and who you're helping. And so I look forward to talking to you again. I look forward to coming to visit you one day because you, like, I'm in Marblehead, I'm in the North Shore. I mean, it is like what, an hour and a half to come.
Yeah.
So I look forward to actually meeting you and seeing your facilities and just checking it out. And oh, do you teach coding for kids only or for all ages?
We're focused primarily on kids now. Adults would be something that would come down the line, but there's just so many kids to reach.
Oh, so many kids. And you know what? And coding is needed now. It's needed.
Exactly.
So, Ruth, thank you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And thank you for being fun. Some of these things are like mind-blowingly boring. But this was so fun.
You know what? I'm a laid-back person. I mean, and honestly, I used to be a television producer, and this is my give back to my community. I want more and more people to see around the world. There are amazing people that are doing amazing things, and this pandemic isn't going to stop us.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Be well to yourself.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.